Okay.
Recording is on.
So welcome everybody to community call number 20. I am leading today. Christoph was supposed to be on vacation, but it still showed up here. We are going to be talking about a few things. Alexa has some updates on her Twitter project. We may be talking to DM about accessibility in Nigeria. And if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, just let me know. We will kick it off with Alexa.
Thanks, Patricia. Well, I've been thinking a lot about how to connect kind of everything that happens in the community, because the community is so unique and so diverse, and something is always happening, right? So I think it needs that connection to begin with, to the Twitter community, and for people to be able to comment on things that go on, and on all of those questions that people come up with during meetings, on GitHub, on Slack. There's always something there. And trying to figure out how to put it together has been about, I don't know, a process of thinking of different topics, and there's a million ways that we could go about this, and also thinking about what it could possibly look like. Now, because this is an open source community, then there isn't this has to be the branding feeling. Instead, I think it's going to be about trying to integrate many voices and ideas, and in a way, kind of a look that could change over time too, And the way that I began on this is that I started thinking of topics that could go per day. I think that one of the unique things about social media is that it's nice if you can check in every day and see something different. So I'm hoping to have something that is daily. And here, let me share my screen. The first thing that I have and that I've shared on Slack is this one. Okay. And can anyone hear? Can anyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So hopefully I won't move this too much. But the first thing is kind of this overall idea of what a topic may be, or what the topics discussed may be, based on what's happening on the community, what's happened before, and trying to bring it in. And I try to focus on day concepts. So if we're thinking of Monday, it's more of, I can think of design reviews. And so I'm thinking UX focus would be nice in here.
Hey,
If
Alexa.
we think of Tuesday, there's
Alexa.
always something happening.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Your screen share just disappeared for me.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. It just real quick disappeared.
But
Otherwise, it was great.
now.
Oh,
Is
it's
that
back.
better?
It's back now.
Okay.
Yeah, it never disappeared for me, so it might be some jitters.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure it
Always-
wasn't
always
happening
fun
for
with
everybody.
Jitsi.
All right. Thank you. I think sometimes it has a problem with the little pop-up window at the bottom. Anyway, Tuesdays usually for me, I feel like it's a lightning focused day. I mean, not necessarily because now there's a lightning browser meeting, and I think it happens on Mondays, but I have it sort of set up as Tuesday. And Wednesday, because it's always the day of the community, I feel like it's got to be about welcoming people into the community. And we've done this every single month, so it feels to me like community day. Thursday, see, I think one of the big things that we do in this community is that we try to see how it will affect people's lives. And we're seeing it now, for example, with Bitcoin Smiles and BTC Pay servers. So I was hoping to have more of a real world look or real solutions look in here on Thursdays. And then Friday, to me, feels like something that could be focused on product makers. And I was talking with the group and with Stephen a little bit earlier today, because who is it that we're targeting? And I think in a way, it's information for product makers who'd like to learn about design. It's also information for designers who'd like to get into Bitcoin, who may not know about Bitcoin. And one of the other things is who is going to use these products and who will be interested in them. And I'm thinking we're probably possibly thinking of a younger audience that will grow into Bitcoin. So I'm hoping to add a few little fun things or animations or characters along the way. And when it comes to Saturday, I think one of the important things that we think about is that people will need to learn progressively. This is something that Daniel has touched upon, and I loved his term about progressive security and progressive learning. So it's something that I'd like to focus on, and it'll be about the people using the products, I think. And it can change over time, but this is kind of the idea. And somehow tying it into Bitcoin, maybe some design principles or principles when it comes to Sunday. And the way that I'm organizing it is I'm trying to think of it like in a weekly overview. So if you're talking about non-custodial products, maybe we tie into decentralization or into wallets. Or if you're talking about keys, maybe it's about the fact that you can control your money. And I'm kind of trying to tie the week within a certain idea. When it comes to actual design, you'll see that it kind of changes a lot. So this is kind of topics, but when it comes to design, there's just so many possibilities. And I had a week overview of what it could be. And thank you to all who have shared your comments. I think I will try to focus it more on the Bitcoin design things. And we were also talking about how much do we need. I do want it to remain neutral, like Christoph mentioned. And at the same time, you also want to think about what it is that people know or do not know. And one of the reasons why I put, for example, fiat here is that I was telling everyone that when I first started learning about Bitcoin, I had no idea what fiat was. And I thought that we're talking about a car. And it took me a long time to figure it out. So probably longer than I should have. And I think we all have those kinds of stories where there's something that we don't understand. And so I'm trying to see what the balance may be. And I'm hoping that maybe some of you will have some ideas. This is a community thing, so I'm not hoping this is something that you just put in about the Bitcoin design guide. I think it'll have to be about what everything that is happening and putting a little bit more of that personal touch into things, you know. And for example, on a visual sense, I try to make it a bit cohesive in a certain way, so that as you're scrolling down, you kind of feel kind of the same hues. But even then, it can change over time. Like this one in particular, I was thinking of the ocean and of the end of summer. But as we head into fall, then it could be something different. And if somebody else in the community has something, then that'll be cool too. How to include everyone in is something that, I don't know, has to be one of the goals, I think. What do you guys think? Do you have any comments, ideas, things you'd like to see here? Anything of the sort?
Yeah, I love the overall idea of having a content calendar like structured by specific topics, you know, specific kinds of topics per day. So yeah, I love what you're doing here. I mentioned this in the Slack. This is like a very general technical note, but when we actually start building out graphics for individual days, I'd suggest we try to keep them all 16:9 aspect ratio, just because that will prevent it from getting cropped in the Twitter timeline. You know, since we're designers, I think that's good attention to detail. And just kind of a thought I just had when you were talking about, you know, how, you know, not knowing what the word fiat meant for a long time. You know, one thing that I probably am learning in life a lot like later than I should have is that, you know, it's like sometimes it's not always like on social media like the best image that gets the attention, but like the best, you know, the kind of post to social media that invites people to, you know, participate in that conversation. So instead of being like, you know, like if you took your picture there about like fiat is not gold, fiat is not gold, fiat is, you know, whatever made by the government. So that picture gets tweeted, but it's not just that you know, that picture and a little blurb. The blurb is like a question that it's like, you know, how long did it take you to figure out that people weren't talking about a car? So, you know, you phrase it as a question, like, how long did you spend in hashtag Bitcoin before you figured out that people weren't complaining about the car brand? So then you phrase it as a question, then you're inviting people to kind of, you know, engage and form a discussion and all there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, I think generating conversation is something to always keep in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a great piece of work, and you know, I left some comments already in Slack, but I like the idea of us as a community sort of being always positive, always for something, as opposed to against things, and that's why I like the content that is, you know, sort of maybe slightly assuming some sort of base knowledge about Bitcoin. And I'm only saying that because my guess is that there's a very low number of people that would find us without having had some exposure to other Bitcoin content. There might be a few, but then, you know, maybe they land on the Bitcoin design guide, and, you know, and there's a very good getting started one there. So that's why I have a tendency to try and, you know, be positive and promote the material that might get you to the point, instead of explicitly calling out these sort of classic tropes, I guess, of the wider Bitcoin community. I think there's plenty of people doing that. So I think we have a niche that we can fill and be more unique. And that's why I sort of lean into your material that is distinctively ours, which I love. You know, everything about, you know, topics we're discussing at the moment, or things that are already in the guide, or, you know, these polls around design and understanding and research. That I think is absolutely brilliant. So, as I drop the kind of more generic stuff, and let's build our own content.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind as I continue on generating content, and how much I like your thought of positivity, because I think that is something that this community has an opportunity to dive into, and that it tries to do all the time. You know, it's like this bridging between developers and designers, and this thing about creating something that will improve people's lives. It is not really about any warring of any kind. And I do think that it has this uniting feeling. So as I'm sharing this, as I'm getting content or comments, I realize that there's so much that could be done here that would be more on a positive note and an educational note. And I kind of like that feeling, or that idea that we can challenge ourselves to include something that's positive and also relatable, and that people can kind of learn about. And really, it's about the community, which I think is kind of exciting. And welcome to the few people that popped up that just joined.
Yeah, it'd be cool to do like some maybe spotlights on certain individuals in the community to kind of really showcase that it's quite diverse, and people kind of probably got into doing like Bitcoin design related work from different avenues and have different backgrounds, and you could just do like a brief tweet, say like, I don't know, like how they got into it, why they did it, or maybe even like a short video if you wanted to go that far. But I've found that type of content on social media gets a lot of engagement, and would be a good way to showcase what great work people are doing in the community.
Yeah, and also kind of what they're thinking about, or how they feel about a specific topic that's covered that day, or something of this sort. Because even as you look at the month or these ideas, I know that probably we come back over and over again, because there's always new issues and new things that are being addressed. There's probably some new things that will pop up too. I think it's about the human side. So thank you, Bosch. And I think Eric had something on the chat of including history. Yes, that's true too. And
yeah, just an idea. I'm reading Digital Gold right now, and a lot of the early Bitcoin history I think is really, really interesting and fun to know about. Just like the little tidbits about like Satoshi and like some of the early players and kind of how they went about doing things. Maybe not get too much in the weeds, but just include something like, on April, whatever was the day, Satoshi left the project, or some little things like that. I think are kind of engaging and interesting for the nerds out there.
And what's another factor of this is that I think history is being written as we go. So I think it'll be interesting to try and include something that just happened too. And you
sure.
almost don't understand just how fast technology changes and how we should remember some of those little things. So thank you.
And Alexa, when I ranted a second ago about like writing posts in a way that like invites conversation, I just realized that you're already totally doing that. Like you have so many like wonderful questions in here, and I just like kind of missed that on my first perusal. I guess I was looking at the pictures more, but you're already there.
That's okay, thank you. And any comments is always welcome, because even though it's something that I'm sort of trying to do, it feels like it's not my project. It's really the project of the community. And in whatever way you feel that this may represent the community, that's the sort of thing that I want to put out there. And if there's any way that this can help kind of engage people and help support the community in a way, then please let me know.
I just wanted to add something about the history stuff. I dropped out there. I don't know if you spoke about it, but there's been like several versions of the Bitcoin logo, and like other kinds of visuals that have come into vogue in the ecosystem, and Satoshi leaving the project and stuff is perhaps, in my opinion, not designy focused enough, and if we could pick out some of those like design or art or whatever kind of moments in Bitcoin's history, I think that could provide like some different kind of content on the Twitterverse, because this other Twitter account called Documenting Bitcoin is pretty cool. And they talk a lot about these kind of things like, oh, on this day Satoshi left, or et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, our kind of like, unique thing is that we're this design community, and we're kind of like looking at all these visual stuff a bit more, and we could like surface that to people. Those kind of fun facts.
Yeah, and if there's anything in particular that you think is coming up and that I may not know about, please let me know. And as far as the visuals, Johns, I think this may be a good chance also for other designers to kind of jump in, maybe some kind of fun activity, like what Stephen's thinking about as far as a wallet, but it could be applied to other things. And maybe there'll be some designers that will also add to it, And also in the sense of memes, even like maybe bringing in a little bit, but as long as it's kind of focused on something. I don't know. There's so many options.
Yeah, I once saw a YouTube presentation on the history and the evolution of user interfaces for like crypto wallets, and it kind of went through like the very, very first ones up to the ones that we get to that we have now that are really sleek. Like stuff like that, to John's point, kind of design focus would be cool. Maybe we could find like the first instance of like the mobile one, and talk about how wallets have evolved, just some like design focused stuff.
That's true, like a little animated video that shows like the progression. I was thinking of something like that. Something like that would be cool for this isn't history, but I was thinking for Suits, kind of the before and after, because it's a big change.
There's also some technical things which impact the UX in the ecosystem as well. So like these BIPs that come out, or like other standards that that are maybe not as formalized that come about that have like a really big impact on user experience. So like when the GUI was updated, and when mnemonics spec came out. So you have like an easier way to, we know what mnemonics are. So there's these kind of like UX bips. I think this guy Alex was documenting some of this. I think Bosch also was doing some work on that as well, like UX focus bips. And we could talk about like, on this day it moved from draft to it got consensus, and then since that time so many people started integrating it into their wallets and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been working on a technical standards page for the guide that kind of covers all like the more technical changes that affect are most relevant towards like UX and things like that. I'll send you the link of the Figma file, Alexa, and it has like I think maybe 25 or so entries. It covers Lightning stuff as well, but they're all kind of like technical improvements that were primarily for like usability improvements. So it's focused obviously on like design related stuff. But yeah, there's a bunch of content there. Like you could elaborate and make multiple tweets out of like individual ones. So there's a bunch of content you can work with.
Thanks, Bosch. And I think the unique thing about social media is that you do take kind of like the bite-sized version of it. So it's a little bit about sprinkling a lot of content every day. Well, not every day, a lot of content, but sprinkling it often.
I really like the idea, if I can hop in, sorry, I cut someone off, it might have been Stephen. I like the idea, you had mentioned like Bitcoin Smiles and kind of like other initiatives. I like us supporting other things, and that's something when John's mentioned documenting Bitcoin, like kind of just making sure that we're being of service to other people who are communities that are aligned with us as well. Like I love showing our work and having structure, but maybe people are having initiatives we can like help out and use this as some sort of way to have visibility for others in the community too. Just kind of like small ways of giving back if we can. So if there's some way to incorporate that, just kind of to keep us connected with the overall Bitcoin ecosystem and other projects with similar initiatives, I think that would be awesome too.
Yeah, and if you have any of those initiatives that take Bitcoin, then please share them with me so we can take them into account. And I know that you have something you're thinking about that because of activism in the merchant section of the guide, and or the merchants part of the guide, and it does make me think that it's also an opportunity to show people, hey, you can use this in order to support your cause, in order to accept Bitcoin. So it's you kind of share a cost, but you also share a way for people to do that. And I like that. Thanks, Patricia.
So I wanted to kind of ask some general questions about the tactical side of executing this. I've definitely seen things happen in the past where there's like a really good, for a company or a client, there'll be like a really good social media plan, and it'll, go strong for about 2 weeks and then kind of peter out. I'm in full support of this. I love this. But if we're going to do this every single week, we got to kind of keep up with that cadence. And so I was just curious what your thoughts are, Alexa. Like, is this something that you see yourself like owning entirely, or like would you be interested in getting help, like having one person, kind of lead a particular week or something like that? Or how do you see continuing this into the future?
I think I'm open to ideas. Obviously, I think I'd like to make sure that there's always content out there. So I'll be focusing on it as much as I can. But like I said before, I think this is a community thing. So whether it's someone that shares an idea or somebody that picks up a template because I'm also hoping to have some of these things in templates. And if somebody wants to jump in on something, then you're always welcome to. I do think that it's something that requires consistency, and I agree with you that it's got to be, if you're expecting this every day, you have to get it every day. So in that sense, I hope to be able to support it enough, so that there is something every day. But I am not closing doors to anyone. So if anybody wants to help out, give an idea, like just today, I've gotten a bunch of ideas from you and from all of you. And I think that's the sort of thing that makes this unique and a unique challenge.
We could make an issue every single week in the GitHub meta repository for, weekly 7 tweets, and then Pavlinex could start harassing people about it.
Yeah, there's so much here that could be done. And certainly I'll be sharing things frequently so people can comment or add something, or well, I'll see how.
Well, I think this is a great idea, and I'm really happy you shared it and kind of like took the lead here. And I think it's been something we probably should have had for a while, to be like totally upfront. Like, this is a long time coming, and I just thank you for being the one to do it, really.
Thanks. I've seen so many of you work on so many little details, or just showing up for the meetings or participating or commenting, and it kind of felt like maybe this was a way that I could help out. And
I think it's going to be really good. I'm excited. I mean, it already is. Just having structure and having like these conversations where we can all come together and decide what we want it to be, like that's a step forward already in my book. So thank you. And if anybody else has any other questions for Alexa, we can ask them. Or I'm kind of hoping Stephen might be able to give an update on his win and the talk we did at PlebFi. It was really awesome, and we represented the community. So I don't know if he has any words on that. If there's anything else for Alexa, we can do that. If not, Stephen, if you want to just say a quick few words, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. We have somebody else presenting after this too, correct?
DM was going to be here. I'm not sure where he's at. I messaged him. But until then, that was pretty much all we had that I'm aware of. Unless somebody else wants to bring something up, we can definitely just kind of be casual about it. But I would love to just have you recap the community on sort of what you shared in your project, just until we hear back from DM, because I don't know if he has been on one of these calls before, so I'm trying to help him get on here.
I gotcha. Yeah, so we Patricia and I both went to PlebFi in Austin, Texas this past week, and it's a very, very tiny Bitcoin conference, but really, really good. It's run by Jeremy Rubin, and he has kind of a I guess you could say a different perspective in Bitcoin. He's very interested in, a lot of the like smart contracts and decentralized finance and things like that in terms of like, but basically the kind of functionality that you see like other chains trying to do, but he wants that kind of stuff running on top of Bitcoin. I'm paraphrasing his viewpoint, and, don't quote me on that because I don't, it's not my place to speak for his viewpoint, but that's kind of what I picked up. And so he's put together this conference, and he tries to, put together people who are doing interesting and unique things on Bitcoin, like, again, just more on the like kind of decentralized finance side of things. And so a lot of interesting talks there. And Patricia did a talk on open design and the Bitcoin design community. She invited me to come. She invited me to come up there and join her. So we did a long, we just kind of general introduction to the community. In terms of what it is we do with the design guide and design reviews and forming collaborations with other open source projects. So it was, it seemed to be very well received. A lot of people, there's a lot of questions, and a lot of people came up to talk to us afterwards about it. So I think it was, that was well received. And then there was a hackathon. Now Patricia's entry in the hackathon was really really interesting. She took a different approach with it. She thought about what happens if someone's running a Bitcoin mining rig and it lights on fire, and they get an injury at work. So she did a website advertising a personal injury lawyer for if you get hurt in a Bitcoin mining related accident. Yeah, minorinjuries.com. There you go. You can check it out. It was real close. She almost won the top prize for $5,000 for minorinjuries.com, but please check out the link. And then
Stephen, you should link your project as well. Stephen actually won and made really meaningful work. I was mostly just vibing and like working on stuff that I had already committed to and didn't deliver. Mine was a bit of a meme troll, but Stephen actually had really, really beautiful and useful work, I think, that I hope we can build off of. And you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know. You wanted me to talk about my project. I'm trolling you by talking about your project instead.
Well, I mean, I think my project is meaning. It wins a different category. It wins like worst prize. So I'll take that. But yours is actually, I mean, it was beautiful and I think really well received. So it represented us in a better light than mine, certainly.
Let me see if I can. I'll do a screen share real quick and see if I can pull up this thing. How do I use this? All right.
Stephen also had made something that I didn't know about, where it's like lorem ipsum, but except it's like with Bitcoin words. So instead of when you're doing like filler, instead of just having like the random computer generated text, he has like Bitcoin specific things. So it's like
So can everybody see my screen okay? I need a visual. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah. So this is the GitHub repository for it. You know, I kind of documented my thinking during the hackathon as I was going through. I kind of started off by writing out the use case for it and just, you know, what I thought the functionality of it was. And I took a different approach. I didn't do a lot of stuff in Figma this time in this hackathon. I actually did a lot more coding. I guess I was just in a coding mood, been doing a lot of Figma work lately, but also I kind of wanted to just like, I felt like it was, I kind of wanted to just rush into it and put something really crappy out there so that, you know, somebody would get angry and, you know, help me fix it. Because I didn't want to like overthink it too much. I just wanted to go ahead and start building it out. So this is the basic website, and I kind of started from a Slack conversation, Slack thread that Steve Lee started a week or so ago about basically what happens if you have an app developer who wants to accept Lightning payments from their customers, but their customers don't have Lightning wallets yet. And you have this tricky situation where they have to onboard people to their product or service while also trying to onboard people to Bitcoin and Lightning. And, you know, we had this, you know, hearty discussion in the Slack thread about the best way to do that. And, some groups of people kind of proposed like hey, what if we have more like a wallet, website, a wallet selector website, kind of like what's on the bitcoin.org website, but, you know, made a little bit more modern to include Lightning, all that, kind of like a neutral third-party website kind of deal. And then a kind of another group formed of people proposing like a package, like something that the developer can include as a package in their app. And I went for kind of a middle ground approach. I tried to bridge those two ideas. So I started at Alice, who's your guide to Bitcoin wallets. And like if you land on this website for the first time, you get started and it asks the user some kind of questions like to gauge what their experience is with Bitcoin and if they own Bitcoin already and how they see themselves using Bitcoin. I should probably add an I don't know to that as well. And then just kind of what their like primary, you know, thing they might be concerned about is. And so then it takes them to a page that pulls up some recommendations like that has, you know, like all the different, you know, like features this wallet might have. And this link actually has a share link. I mean, for all the, you know, developer people out there, it's basically just JSON and base64 encoded. But it generates a share link that they could share with somebody else. And so my thinking is that an app developer, once this recommendation page could be constructed, an app developer could actually include like an iframe version, kind of like think about like a Vimeo embed or a YouTube embed. They could embed this content into their app in some way, or just link to it. And there's also just like a wallet page I have where you can kind of sort wallets based on features. It's a little buggy right now because I think there's a commit that I need to merge into master. But it basically, the idea is like different features that you might, you know, want from a wallet, you could sort by. And So that's basically it right now. The next step for this is I really kind of want to go into Figma and like really make it look very nice, like make the recommendation page look like really cool. You know, make it much simpler, much less text, like have a, you know, 3 wallets on the phones, like sitting side by side or something like that. Just make it look really kind of fun to look at. So I definitely want to do some more Figma work and kind of get some input from people on what can be improved or not. I know Sarah, one of the co-organizers of the conference, was very interested in helping out with this. So I would like to put together kind of a call soon to just kind of get people together who are interested in working on this, you know, on a call so we can talk about next steps and how to move forward. I guess the one thing I'll say in recap, I'm probably saying more than you asked for, Patricia, but the one thing I'll say in recap that I took away from this is that we won 2 prizes, one the design prize and one the community, like I guess it was like people were voting on stuff or something, like something like that. And in both cases, when the judges were up there announcing the prizes, they every single winner they announced by the name of the team, except for this one. They said Alice is the winner of the design prize. And I thought that was kind of interesting that this was the only project that they didn't name by team. They didn't call us Bitcoin Design. They called us Alice. All I'm trying to point out with that is I guess there must be something meaningful about humanizing it in some way. You know, I don't know if the name has to be Alice or not. I just chose that because Alice and Bob are always the example characters when you're talking about cryptography. But yeah, I think that there was something powerful about, you know, just describing it to a human character that you know, kind of stuck with people. So I'll turn it over to anyone who wants to, you know, give me questions or criticism or whatever.
Thanks, Stephen. No, this was perfect. We didn't really have, and I mean, I think DM is maybe going to hop in a different meeting at this point. Hopefully later. I would love to hear from them, but this was awesome. And I just want to say congrats. It's so well deserved. You worked really hard, and he was hacking well into the night, you guys, at Unchained Capital. So I just want to congratulate you and celebrate the work you're doing in the community. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see it recognized from people too. You know, sometimes you work on projects kind of tirelessly and you aren't really sure that people see it. So I just feel good that people acknowledge your work. It's good.
Yeah, thank you. There was a lot of other cool projects that I saw at the hackathon too that I could talk about, but I'll save that for a second in case anybody had any specific questions about
your work. We can talk about them later, but I think that I hope you keep working on this, and I hope that other people hop in too, because it has so much potential. It's already awesome, and would love to see more. Hopefully, you'll give us more updates in a few months on one of these calls.
Cool.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing. I like how simple it is and how easy it is to just pick a wallet. You know, I like it.
I get really nerdy here until somebody chimes in with something else, but I set it up as like kind of like JSON for the questions and the wallets, and you know, my thinking is like trying to abstract, like separate out the data of the wallets from the actual design of the project, so that way for people who aren't designers but have really good opinions and thoughts about wallets, they can, you know, really easily go in and like fork or like basically really easily update it and add new wallets and change the information and submit a pull request without having to, you know, get into the code that makes the website look nice.
I guess that could also be used for other applications that may want to integrate this kind of these recommendations and stuff. But I guess for that, they would need to also like be able to import that decision tree, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if they just want to get a list of wallets, here's your wallet API right here. Just download that as JSON. But yeah, and in terms of the decision, yeah, if they wanted to integrate their own decision tree, I mean, I guess there's a couple ways they could do it. I mean, one way we could do it is just yeah, I don't know. I mean, there probably could be some way that I don't know. There might be some way that people could easily hook into this and like send it a request for a recommendation and get a recommendation back in response. I mean, this page right here, all this is I'm just like kind of storing these answers as variables. So I don't see any reason why John's like why we couldn't like make like a standard JSON object or something that has like a consistent data structure, like, okay, question 1, answer 1, question 2, answer 2. And so like any person who wanted to just dynamically query and get like the best recommendation could just, create that little JSON object in their app, send it off, and then get a request back of, wallets or something.
Yeah, I think some of these wallets may not be such a fan of like calling out, but there is someone working on a React Native implementation of the Bitcoin UI kit that
Cool.
I've worked on,
Yeah.
and it also has like web components in it as well, and probably. I could see someone like developing a React component to have like these questions and stuff in it, and in the end giving those results of the wallets. Perhaps they may want to choose which wallets which wallets they want to recommend to their users that fit into like the certain kind of categories or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then they would be able to just like drop in that React Native component. Something else that could be quite interesting for the data that's being entered here, because since it's kind of like a survey, like a user survey in a way. These wallets could potentially use this information to make other kinds of decisions in the application. So perhaps like on the onboarding, which I think. Oh, hold on a second. Well, yeah, I guess. Okay, this is assuming that it's not necessarily a wallet, right? It's something external. Yeah.
But no, I like what you're suggesting there. Yeah, like I mean, I'm already got some code to decide about like what the what the wallet choice should be. So why not take like a subdirectory of the repo or maybe an entirely different repo, but kind of basically make that like a node module or something like that someone could easily import into their project. It would share this, and so Alice would essentially use that same module for its decision-making logic, and we're just opening up that decision-making logic as a component that somebody can easily bundle into theirs. And we separate out the decision-making logic from the design and pretty stuff. So they don't have to incorporate all of Alice's style sheets and images into their app if they don't want to.
One thing to consider, and I think that's the reason why I like the wallets and the features, I almost wonder if it could be a way to merge them. Sometimes when you look at these places where you can select wallets, there's this idea that sometimes the results aren't exactly what you want, and you kind of wish you knew what things people selected, and if you could select like an extra thing in there, might be useful. But I don't know, maybe I'm complicating things too much. I like that this is simple.
What do you mean? Like, instead of like when I had like the use case or whatever, like having like being able to select more than one of these things?
No, I was thinking like when you arrive at the wallet options, that maybe there is an option to see more.
Oh, do you mean like more things in this column here, or do you mean like more wallets?
Like more wallets. Like if you go to the very beginning one, and is this the page that you arrive at once it gives you the suggestions and it already includes the filters, or is this a separate thing?
This is a separate thing. Here, I'll get there real quick.
Okay.
These questions don't really do a lot right now. But yeah, so like I see what you're saying now. I think so. Like these wasn't exactly what you were looking for. So we need some kind of way to say like, or look at, you know, like, hey, it wasn't quite what you're looking for. Maybe try looking at these ones. Or
yeah, or even continue on your idea of the filters. Like if you could already see the filters and how you arrived at those,
yeah,
then maybe you could select extra ones and have more options, or see every option or something of the sort.
yeah, it almost could be like this page could essentially just have the filter menu on it. And when we send somebody to this page, we just kind of have like several filters ticked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of, just in case people want to check something else out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And one thing I kind of wanted to do too is like, I think it would be really cool if somebody wants to share a recommendation link. Like this could be done via like the share button down here, but like I think it would almost be cool if like there could be like a personalized message in there. Like I like how like Swan Bitcoin has like if you get your referral link, like if I give you my referral link, it has like a little picture of me there with like a quote from me saying like why I recommend it. And I think it'd be kind of cool like this, like if a company, say, wants to recommend to use a specific wallet or their service, they could include a personalized message there. Or if, you know, you're trying to help your friends and family, you know, use Bitcoin, you could, again, include like a little personalized message about, you know, why these are your faves or something like that. It would just give the page that little, you know, extra human touch.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea for connecting people. I thought you were referring to people recommending other wallet products, but no, this is recommending it to people.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like at the top of the page, like, hey, these are Steven's favorite, you know, newbie wallets or something. You know, you would get to pick the title on your own page.
That sounds cool. And another thing to think about is sometimes you're trying to make sense of the wallets. What if you divided the qualities, like the little icons with a different color?
Yeah.
I don't know how many options there will be, but that way you could just scroll down or see them and just spot the one that you want easier.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Anything else for Stephen? All right. Thank you. And then I guess there's nothing else planned unless anyone has any last minute things they'd like to share or add to the agenda. This is pretty much it. Any thoughts or things we'd like to share? All right. I guess we're going to maybe call this one early. Oh, Daniel, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, whoever wants to leave, feel free to leave. But I was just thinking of taking the time, since we had some extra, to hear if anybody had something that's on their mind about Bitcoin in general at the moment that they would like to share, just as a bit of a sidetrack, right? Like it could be anything from, I mean, not price, but like I think what's interesting is to reflect a bit on different kind of wider moods. If you kind of abstract it a bit to like, there's a kind of a bear market mood and a bull market mood, and you know, they are very different. I was wondering if that affects how anybody thinks about tools or projects or work, or yeah, maybe this is a bit of a fuzzy question, but I was just curious, like what's on people's mind? I know we've been talking a lot about Lightning at the moment, obviously, in the community, but is there any other topic that kind of is bubbling? And not necessarily in terms of the guide or, you know, work that we should be doing, but like stuff that you're looking into, or maybe Lightning is taking up everybody's waking hours.
Yeah, I've been looking into like, maybe this is like too dicey for for this meeting. I don't know. I've been looking into like a lot of socio-political aspects around Bitcoin. I was talking to the U.S. Embassy because I'm going to be going to El Salvador, and there seemed to be a pretty big and maybe understandable disconnect around the legality of Bitcoin becoming a legal tender. They are like still in denial, and I think there's like a lot of fear, and I'm just hoping that, like, I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about like the human rights aspect of it and people just being safe, and how do you protect people and make sure this isn't like a physically violent environment as things get adopted. I think it's really good that we're optimistic and everyone's super excited and they're like, cool, let's go get houses, no property taxes. But at the same time, there are real issues that people are going to have to deal with, and people who are pretty vulnerable. And so that's one thing I think about, and I don't know how to move forward, but it's been on my mind where, you know, it's not always easy with adoption. And I think sometimes when we're building and when we're creating these tools, it's just like, we think we're like solving something, but there are real people who have to experience these things in real time with their socio-political environments. That might be too heavy, but that's been on my mind in
No, that's
regards to
great.
Bitcoin. I don't know how we work through that, but I've been trying to think about that a lot.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your report from when you're there or when you come back. And
yeah, that would be awesome. And I'm also going to be doing Oslo Freedom Forum with Rockstar. We're going to be doing BTC Pay server there. So I'm hoping to learn a little bit more from activists, sort of what they need and how we can help. And I'm hoping a merchant section will help in that regard too. And maybe we can do an activist focused area. I don't know what the best steps for us to support people who are adopting Bitcoin is, but I want to at least try. It seems.
I'm really curious about
privileged.
their you know, official wallet strategy
Mm,
and you know how that's gonna work out, and
yeah.
the kind of perception of that, like an official wallet for a whole country. That's definitely not happened before in terms of Bitcoin, right? So yeah, I'm super curious to see what you'll learn about that.
Me too. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I also want to be sensitive to people who have to like actually use this every day or not use it, or, you know, the lack of education and maybe like fears around what's going on. It's interesting, and I don't know how to move forward, but I've been thinking about that a lot.
Thanks for sharing.
Of course, thanks for the question.
Anybody else have anything on their mind that's slightly different from our normal agenda?
What about you, Daniel?
It's not too far off our normal topics, I think, but multi-sig wallets are still scaring me. So it's kind of on my personal to-do list of you know, getting over my fear just by doing. And if I'm scared of it, I'm guessing it's a wider it's a wider fear. You know, not just in the kind of Bitcoin knowledgeable, but you know, thinking ahead. You know, definitely for people who are not yet into it. So yeah, that's just one thing that I'm keeping. It's on my mind that I need to get over that fear and I work out the kinks and figure it out.
I think Bosch was talking sometime this week about these like testnet wallets, being able to have like testnet wallets, whether it's Lightning or on chain, and perhaps stuff like this, like tools that you can like experiment with, and it's free to fail, could help like building up that kind of like user confidence, or just like help to understand the technology a bit better, you know.
Yeah, I made
sure.
like issues on like Phoenix, Moon, and Breeze about having testnet. I know Breeze used to have it. I think Phoenix, you can build an APK off their GitHub that has testnet functionality, but I don't know. I just think it'd be nice to have it like probably buried in some kind of advanced section, particularly for like people who aren't that tech savvy to be able to experiment with testnet. But on the
Somebody,
developer
think-
side, I just was kind of like throwing the idea out there, and I just made a few issues on like their repos, just saying like, you know, it'd be cool to have more testnet functionality. So like people who aren't that tech savvy, who don't want to like compile like a testnet like APK or something like that, like an example of Phoenix, can experiment a little bit more like with the Lightning Network and other technologies.
Yeah, Bosch. Dude, one of the I just wanted to share with you because I have to leave a second for another call. But some of the one of the dudes at the hackathon, I think they were a winner, did this thing called PlebNet Playground. It was pretty cool because they basically set up a like a test, like a Docker test environment. So if you want to start like messing around with Lightning Network on testnet without like having to worry about losing any funds, you can do it there. It's probably not the most like, you know, user friendly thing, but it was a pretty cool kind of thing for people who just want to experiment with testnet.
Yeah, cool. Send it through.
Paste it in the chat there. Catch you later, everybody. Thank you so much for the feedback.
Catch up.
Take care. I think you know, hiding the testnet thing under like these advanced settings or whatever, I think they could be a potential opportunity where it's like surfaced to the user, where like after onboarding, they can like they could go into like this testnet mode or like demo mode where they're kind of like earning points or something whilst they're like playing around with it, and then it that part of the application closes off, and it says, okay, you know, this is like, you know, you're now on mainnet. This is like the real thing now. You could top up your wallet. You understand how X, Y, and Z works a bit, etc.
Yeah, you could even like go about it instead of having like a function that turns on. You could have like maybe a tutorial that people get guided through when they first use the app, and like they like get walked through the process and they get to like send a payment, and it's like a nice guided visual kind of experience. And then once they've kind of done that tutorial, it just goes into the normal wallet and they can use it like normal instead of having like a option to turn it on, which could be accidentally turned on and then cause confusion or something like that. But yeah. The whole gist of it was just having more like ways to experiment, like particularly with like specific wallets to see like what their like, I don't know, UX constraints are, because there's obviously differences between them, and it'd be cool to be able to like, you know, see if Phoenix could handle sending a very large payment, or if Breeze could, or I don't know, there's lots of different things that could be played around with.
You know, speaking of that, I don't know, Daniel, when you mentioned what it is that we're thinking about, I think something that's constantly in my mind is this idea that there's a lot of fear in people sometimes over trying new things. And there's always this idea of how do we make it so that learning is kind of gives you the sense of wonder or curiosity or of trying new things. And when we're thinking about apps, sometimes you get one app that's simple, and then you get one app that's really complex, or you get one app that's simple and then you have to go into the settings and it's a really weird thing to find the advanced features, and then they're kind of short and small. You can't, it's kind of complicated. And I somehow wish that there was this app process where you'd be learning new things constantly, and that it'd be kind of fun, and it wouldn't be a separate advanced settings, but that it would be something that grows with you. And I think that that would be something that I'd love to see.
Awesome. I think a lot of people have to go, so just going to stop the recording. I have to go too, but I just want to say thanks for coming, you guys. This is great. Maybe I can't stop the recording. Maybe Stephen has to. Not clear. I'm going to try to stop the recording.
Oh, he left.
Oh, stop recording. There we go.